spelling. The new spelling is E-H-A. This is when I write slow. K-A. This is a Hong Kong trained writing.
Oh.
But then, you know, I left after grade 1, so it's just. Hey, Don, what's up? Dhaka. Hey guys. That's the capital city of Bangladesh. Hey fellas.
What's the new spelling?
Yeah, you guys.
The old spelling was.
You're in the second D.
Yeah, just grab a chair, grab a chair.
Somebody arranged this. Yeah. It's like.
Yeah, you have to pay attention at all
When do you
times.
run this one?
Yeah.
You have to pay attention.
I like it.
You have to pay attention. Andrew might be asking you questions.
They're in like the second row. You guys have front row seats.
They're late to lecture.
Yeah.
You
So we can't ask questions, right?
You're not going to get a mark for it.
I say you ask some
So
questions.
these guys, where's the mic? This is like a Gabe's attitude.
No, this is a press conference. This is
Oh, you
Oh
want
yeah,
one?
we should put it here. We should put it here.
why?
And I should have a water here.
Why?
Jason,
Oi,
come in, join us.
come,
Stay a while.
grab a chair.
How do we do this so that it's not slowly echoing?
You need to be close to someone.
I'm just sitting in the back.
We all want to take pictures of Andrew?
That's the 200 level seats.
Like, we all want randomly take pictures of Andrew?
They're cheaper.
Do I have flash?
Oh, James.
Looks like
Let's
a
move this away.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Decent material. It's not like a phone.
Never!
You got most to do.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming out. This is a joint Footprints and Salt event, barely. And tonight we're very honored to have this gentleman, Mr. Tam, here to do a little sharing about what his the next little chapter adventure that he's about to embark on. So without further ado, Andrew.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Gotta make me feel
Sorry.
right.
We have to give us a cue.
I got really close.
Give us a cue.
So, who was there last Sunday when I shared on stage? Guys, you raise your hands. Show of hands. It's about half of us. Because I was thinking, okay, so I'll tell you the story of what happened. So last Thursday, I was like, okay, I have 2 weekends left. I'm gonna go to Salt for last week, and then Footprints this week, just to see everyone. And then I asked James whether I could share at Footprints, because Footprints is like 4 people, 5 people. We're just very intimate and interactive. So we go there and we just chat. And so I thought I'd do that. And then last Friday, like I walked in and I'm like, oh, it's a program. I hung out, and then there wasn't a chance to really talk about like my stuff. So my point is, on that day, Aaron, our new pastoral intern, asked me to share in front of the congregation. So I did. I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. So I shared there, and then I didn't really like think again about because James, Huntley, and Kevin were like, oh, do you want to do a joint Salt Footprints thing? And I was more like, I wanted to be joint so I could see more of you, because last week like some of the Salt people that I know weren't there, such as you. So I was like, oh, I want to see all of them again. So I'm like, yeah, let's do joint. But then I was like, what am I going to share? Because I already shared last Sunday. But it was like, I was going to like just read the same thing over, but that's pretty dry. Because there's only 3 minutes too. He told me I had 3 minutes. So I'm like, oh, I better write this down because I ramble a lot. But on the way here in the car, I figured out what I should be doing. Since it's a bit a smaller group rather than the congregation, first of all, you guys can ask questions. So after I talk, while I talk, think of stuff you want to ask me, okay? And then we'll make it more interactive. Second of all, I wanted to make it lengthier, because my sharing was about like what happened this summer, getting hired, what's this job about. But that's like the tip of the iceberg. It's like what happened for the last like 10 years. Like, so we can like tell a bit of a story, a bit of a sharing in terms of, I like the way James framed it in his email, like God's work of grace in my life. So I can make it the theme of like, how did I even get to become a teacher? Because this is going to be my first job as a teacher. So back to the beginning. Well, not the beginning, somewhere in the middle. Okay, I was born.
in the beginning.
No, not quite, not there yet. Okay, so I did my, I went, actually I am going to start from my birth. I was born in Hong Kong, and then I came here when I was 7 years old. I did elementary school here, middle school, high school, and then university. So this is where you guys are right now. So I was like thinking, what do I want to study at university? That's something you ask yourself during grade 11 and 12. And I asked myself the same thing. So I pretty much chose computer engineering because it's reputable. It provides job security. It gives you money. It's like the Asian thing to do. And that wasn't the only thing. Like my parents didn't give me any pressure. My parents are very like they let me choose what I want to do, which is good. And I was wondering like when I was thinking of my program. So yes, computers was a booming field at the time. It still is, and it offers good job security. It's something that pays decently and all that. But at the same time, I still like the subjects. Like I took a lot of math and sciences in high school, so math and science and computers as well. So I enjoyed that more than like the writing subjects. I like the writing subjects, but like I have writer's block because I think through things too much and I don't even know what to write. So that bugged me about the writing subjects, even though I like to think, I like to whatever. Because a lot of people were like, oh, I'm surprised you're in engineering, you look like more of an English philosophy guy. I'm like, actually I did like those subjects a lot, it's just, they stress me out because I don't know what to write, I have no ideas to write about. So I went into computer engineering, and then so computer engineering is a very busy degree, like it's a busy program, you're always doing a lab or doing problem sets, there's always something. So all I did during my 4 years of university was like work, and then the times that I had that weren't as busy, I like just vegged. Like I would go on the computer, I would follow the NBA, and that was my life. And I came to SALT. Yes, I came to SALT. That was my life for my 4 years of university. And it was only after university that I was like, oh, now is the rest of my life, like quote unquote rest of my life, because I grew up with the mentality, oh, I got to go through school, I got to do high school, I got to do university, and then my life begins at that point. Like that's the sort of very structured conception I have of things. So when it came to the end of 4th year, then I'm like, oh, now it's time to work. What should I do? And that's when I started to have time to reflect, and I was thinking, I'm not sure I want to work in the engineering field because, like, I like the stuff I was learning, like, because you think about a computer, when you're young, you're looking at the computer, it's like, how does it do all those things? It's like a magic box. So I actually learned how it actually does that, so I'm pretty satisfied about knowing how a computer works. But at the same time, the idea of programming for the rest of my life, that's also an oversimplification, didn't really appeal to me because I'd work on a program, 90% of the time, I'd be banging my head against the desk because there's so many bugs I don't know where they came from. And then the last 2% of the time is like, yes, I finally got to work. And then it's on to the next project. 90% of the time I'm banging my head against the wall, trying to figure out why there's a bug. So I kind of did that kind of rational analysis, like, this is not going to be a very enjoyable career, right? So I slowed down. I was like, I actually went into a master's program for computer science rather than computer engineering at York. So I did my undergrad at UT. So as many people may admit that, like I did my master's more out of like not wanting to go into the workforce because I heard it's even more working hours. And I needed time to slow down and think. So I'm like, what can I do to make my resume sort of pad my resume while I'm still actually giving myself time to think? So I went into York, did a master's in computer science, which is as far away from computer engineering as I could get, and still qualified. Because it's not like I'm going to get into a master's program for like English, because I have no prerequisites. So while I was doing computer science, I was trying to be as far away as the technical side as possible. I was doing like human-computer interaction and like more the social aspects of technology. So kind of veering as far away as possible and actually still be qualified for what I'm studying. And that is where, like, I guess the God part became a lot more evident. So because I was able to slow down and think about my life, and I was actually getting a bit older where I get to, like, I know myself a bit better, I'm getting to know myself a bit better, and I'm also wondering, like, what am I supposed to do in my life? Like, in church, you hear that God has a calling for you, or God has a plan for you, God's will for your life. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to find out what that will is, because, I wasn't really aware of, like, where God was leading me before. It was all, like, me choosing it based on just logic. So that's when I read a lot of books, a lot of Christian books, and just to go, what's the will of God, and then while I was at it, I was reading all these books that addressed a lot of my questions about Christianity, because I grew up with a lot of, like, questions about Christianity, because like, at school it's very science based, and you get this idea somehow that science is opposed to faith, and that's a false dichotomy. But at the same time, it was something that no one could really talk to me about or address for me in a way that I was satisfied. So I read a lot of books, and that's when I stumbled onto amazing authors like C.S. Lewis and Philip Yancey, and so it was a good time of growth for me, just to, like, get to know myself better. And also I went to some career workshops, like career seminars, and figuring out what's your personality type, what's your aptitudes, like, what kind of jobs someone like you would be suited for. So actually the 4 that came to me that they concluded was 1, engineer, which is, I was already there, 2 was librarian, 3 was teacher, and 4 was insurance underwriter. So engineering, I kind of narrowed that down already, like, crossed that off already. Librarian, I was thinking about it, I like organizing things, but you're just in the library, it's kind of boring. There's not much to do. Well, there's lots to do, but it's no interaction with anybody. Teaching, I'll leave till the last, but insurance underwriter sounds pretty boring right off the bat. And I don't know anything about finance, so that might be my ignorance speaking. Like, I don't know anything about, like, economics and all that. So yeah, so teaching. So that one piqued my interest. So it was between engineering and teaching. So during those days, I was also trying to look within, like, what makes me feel happy to do? Like, what are my passions? What would I do? Like, just looking at the way I lead my life, what is it that gives me joy? So I was actually able to narrow it down to 3 things. Like, I like to teach, I like to encourage people, and I like to inspire people. So teach, encourage, inspire. Like, those were very, very identical, very tangible, like, qualities or things that I know makes me, like, feel fulfilled. So when you look at that, then it's like, well, pretty much teaching is a pretty good profession for that. But this was still early on. This was like I still had a lot of questions. I still wasn't sure. So, but already this was around, like, just my first year of my master's degree. I figured all that out. And also within the first years of my master's degree, I got baptized. Like, I get at the end of that year, because reading all the books actually helped me figure out a lot of the questions I had about the faith that no one, like, could really answer for me. But after reading a lot of those books, I was like, wow, like, God actually made the world. So if we study science, we're just studying the world that God made. So it all makes sense. Like, why is there such, like, such a clash? There really isn't. So things like that help me go, okay, so God is someone who made all this beautiful stuff, rather than God is the person who's on me when I'm wrong. Like, that's kind of discouraging. So I saw God in a much better light. So I got baptized, and so you can already see I was getting a lot of that stuff sorted out.